what up? Figured I'd do a little tiny demo on some smaller tubing just to save a little bit of time. This is 38 by 4 by maybe 2.5, something like that. I mean, it's a pretty small little blank, so just gonna heat it up just a little bit real fast. I always talk about fuming cold blanks, and I'll kind of run through that just a little bit. But I'm not even gonna bring this blank up to glowing. Turn my oxy down a little bit. Small prep, small flame for small precise fume. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can see that. That's a pretty small fucking flame. That'll be essentially my silver flame. My gold flame will just be a little bit sharper. Plug that in. So I mean, you can tell that thing right there, it wasn't even glowing. I mean, I gave it a little bit of time to cool down. I don't know what temperature it is. I sure can't put my hand to it, but it's definitely cooled down a lot. Gold, like in 99% of scenarios, I fume with gold first. So maybe I'll angle this a little bit different so you can see the amount of time that I actually have this silver in the cup for. I think most people just smash it with silver because you're so used to doing like honeycombs and stuff like that. You can get a lot of the oversaturation problems. So always wait till your silver stops spitting little tiny flakes and shit, unless you want like a space tech type of fume. So in order to build up that little bit of a base, there you go, kind of building up little bits of layers of silver fume. That's probably good for a good starting point. Just a nice light silver fume in between each layer. I heat it up. But just real fast. I mean, we're just building up small, subtle layers of that silver fume. We're not trying to do it all the one and done right off the bat. is pretty nice. You can definitely see that there's some silver in there. And I'm just going to go with maybe 1 or 2 little tiny passes in there, and the rest of it will all be right where it should be. I am going to do 1 little stripe of gold on top of that silver, right down the middle of that silver, to kind of highlight the greenish spectrum. It'll be a little bit different flavor than the overlap of the silver that I got on the gold a second ago. So in order to get that more full spectrum, like literally just a light splash. Just like that. And come back in, small flame. I don't know if you can see my candles, but like there is little tiny orange tips on those, you know, it's not just straight blue flames on that. Just in and out. In and out. Got one little spot that's not, it's right up next to the gold. Let's see if I can flip this around. The dots, you definitely want a warm blank. On the size blank you're using, you just need a big enough flame to get to the back to flame cut your dot off. I'm out of the flame, apply the dot, pull off the stringer, and flame cut. The one thing I will say that I need a little bit more oxy just to drive it to the back of the tube. It didn't want to flame cut right away. The one thing I will say is that you can be a lot more precise with laying your dots if you come out of the flame to cut them, or to lay them. So that's why I come out of the flame. Out of the flame, apply my dot, pull a stringer, flame cut. I got a little bubble on the end of this shit. lot of people that get in there and they flare their tube way open to apply a design and stuff like that. Like, I get it, especially if you're trying to cram a lot into one area. But for this technique, I just kind of go with the raw tube. No need to flare it. I'm not trying to pack a billion dots in there and increase my surface area. There, I could totally tell that I had a couple little air bubbles on the end of that dot right when it flame cut. Just reach back in there, grab the tip of that dot, pull a stringer off of it while it's still hot, and get rid of those dots. Get rid of those bubbles. Just a rinse and repeat of that same process, you know? I'm sure people in the end are going to ask what kind of tubing this is. It's 38 by 4. I just so happen to get a really awesome fucking batch of import tubing, and I'm not sure what kind of import tubing it is, but it fucking kicks ass. Might be India, it might be China. You can see I'm kind of not just yet, I'm not like going back and reheating it in between lines of dots. I mean, I'm pretty much running that flame up in that tubing to keep those dots warm the entire time, especially while I'm heating up my punty. Now, if this is a bigger blank, I would be stopping in between kind of each, you know, say that each third set of dots and kind of reheating up the inside, reheating up the outside. But like I said, it's a small blank. kick up that oxy and just run that fucking flame back up in there. Nothing too crazy, but you're gonna want to heat up those dots from the inside before you move your flame to the outside. And that'll prevent the thermal shock that you always see kind of happen. Just gonna heat this thing up a little bit. I'll show you what I got right now. I guess like the main purpose of this demo was not only to show you to like pull out of the flame in between, you know, I mean that way you can apply your dot without it in the flame, because you'll end up melting your rod will drip and shit like that, which is never fun. So let's see if I can show you what I got right now. You see that fucking gold. And the dots are all the way at the end of the tube. Oh yeah. It's gonna be a good one. Kind of my rule of thumb is don't just collapse that thing all the way in one shot until you melt in your dots. You know what I mean? Anytime you exceed the overall wall thickness of, like, say, stock tubing, you could run the risk of, like, over reducing your fume. So don't let that shit get too thick as you go. Just kind of puff it out as you go. Definitely let the flame do the work. Don't sit there in your L-marver and marver it down thinking it's going to collapse over more or anything like that. Just let your flame do it. The less stress you can add, the better everything will turn out. So. two trains of thought on this next little part. Everybody has a different way to skin that cat, so no offense to the Kiki lovers, right? Me personally, I just took all that time to symmetrically lay down those dots all in there, right? Like I took the time to place those dots exactly where I wanted them. So now if I were to grab it with the punty on that side and start working this side over here completely smooth, you could run the risk of twisting your design and fucking up your overall pattern. So with that said, I just switched my punty to the other side. Or not my punty, my blow tube. I'll clean it up right now. When you go to clean up your one side, if you like the placement of your dots, don't pull it to where you make little teardrops out of your dots. Just remove the stuff that you want to remove so that you still have round dots right there. You know what I mean? You don't need them to be all distorted or anything like that. So... like I say, as it starts to kind of condense onto itself, don't let it get too thick. I mean, it can completely white out good fume if you let that shit get too thick. It'll like over-reduce just by glass mass. It's fucking weird. Save that for like your final shaping. Let this shit cool down and see what we did. Hope you guys are having a great fucking day. All the blues, there's some greens from the stripe that I did on the other side of the golds. A little bit of that overlap. Little tiny gumdrop buttons. Anyways, guys, I hope that fucking helps. 30 minute video. There you go.